Lil Skies went from getting co-signs on The Weeknd to having petitions and Instagram pages getting to stop his lean addiction to now eventually telling his own fan pages to go fuck off. This is how and why Lil Skies' career really fell off a cliff. When Skies blew up, he really just perfectly fit into the new era of rap. Catchy melodies, crazy production, and insane flows. With the help of Cole Bennett music videos, he was basically running the 2018 era of rap. Red Roses, Nowadays, Lust, Creeping, Welcome to the Rodeo. The Cole Bennett x Skies duo just went crazy back in the day. But where did it go wrong? Because at one point, Skies seemed untouchable. Every song he put out was a banger, and honestly, Life of Dark Rose is probably one of my favorite trap albums of all time. It was just hit after hit after hit. Sure, he wasn't on the level of someone like Uzi in terms of stardom, but he was definitely heading in that trajectory, because unlike someone like Pump or 6ix9ine, Skies produced more radio-friendly music with his melodies and had more of a dedicated fanbase. And for the end of late 2017 and half of 2018, he was capitalizing off that well. Lust, Nowadays, Red Roses, Creeping, Welcome to the Rodeo, and he even gave Young Pinch a hit with I Know You. Skies just knew what to drop and when to drop it, but we couldn't say this for long. And this is where the downfall of Skies slowly started, because for the last 6 months of 2018, Skies only dropped 2 songs, No Rest and Ops Want Me Dead, which usually isn't a big of a deal, but for an artist like Skies, it was kind of overambitious. When you're on the verge of making the transition from popular rapper to potentially superstar level rapper, and you have all these hits out, I personally feel you should be dropping a bit more frequently. But again, this isn't the beginning of his demise. I get it, maybe he was just exhausted and wanted a bit of a break, but it was kind of foreshadowing what we were about to see. 2019 comes and Lil Skies drops his highly anticipated album, Shelby, and honestly, this was a massive drop off from the quality of Life of Dark Rose. It wasn't bad, but again, a foreshadowing of one of the main reasons Skies was going to fall off. This isn't to say the album was a flop. It sold 54k first week, which was really good, but a lot of that was thanks to I, which wouldn't be his last hit, but probably the last song that would reach its full potential. And Shelby would really be the last of Skies wave for a good few months. He wouldn't drop anything until July, and unlike 2018 where he dropped 2 singles during his hiatus, Skies didn't bother to capitalize off this hype from I and instead dropped absolutely nothing for 4 months. And this complacency is essentially what started to kill him. He went from dropping hit after hit after hit, riding his way to his maximum potential, to slowing down significantly. And what seemed like it would just halt his growth also turned out to be the dagger for his entire career. And this 4-month break seems even weirder when you consider that Skies had his kid in July 2019. So wouldn't it make sense for him to try dropping as much as possible before he has to shift his responsibilities? And obviously, like I said, July, Skies had his kid. And he also drops 2 songs in the course of a week, Going Off and Magic. And these 2 songs are honestly songs that if Skies had dropped during his prime, or even after I, they would have blown up just like anything else. Because at this stage, Skies had lost a lot of his fanbase. He kind of went off the radar and laid low. So naturally, these songs didn't perform as well as they could, but despite this, Magic was still a slow grower and is one of Skies' most popular songs to date, and that itself just speaks volumes of how big Skies could have been if he didn't take a break, and he kept dropping hit after hit, because Skies' ear for music was insane, keyword was, and honestly, it was also the reason he got to his heights in the first place. He made a good song and followed it up with an even better song, but it looked like Skies' best attribute was about to be no more, because these 2 songs, Going Off and Magic, marked an end of an era for Skies. These were the last 2 songs that we would see before everything Skies had going for him would begin to deteriorate. Skies was one of the few rappers coming up that was genuinely humble. He always made time for his fans, showed love, and wasn't super flashy on social media like most modern day rappers. He just wanted to make music and support his family. But slowly, his relationship with his fans began to worsen. It felt like every other day there was some drama in the Skies community, with Skies going on multiple rants at his fan pages, sometimes understandable, like getting mad at them for leaking his music, but other times it was completely unreasonable, like blocking them because they kept asking for new music. And this would slowly destroy the relationship between Skies and some of his fans. And one of the things Skies had going for him was a decent fan base, but it would slowly begin to crumble. But I think this underlies a more significant cause in Skies' downfall, and that's Skies' mental health. When he was coming up 2017, he was active on social media. He was posting snippets, getting turned, just living life. But gradually, as the years went on, Skies would get more reserved and a lot more snappy, going on rants on his story and Instagram Live quite often. And obviously, this was a sign of something deeper, because Skies himself has been pretty outspoken about his poor mental health, which is obviously something that leads to these crazy outbursts outbursts and long period of inactivity. And to go along with this, Skies was also one of the few new age rappers that weren't on 50 pills at the same time when he was coming up. It was honestly one of the things that probably led to his work ethic. But obviously, this didn't last long, because despite being inactive, fans would see how much Skies had changed whenever there was a rare photo, how defeated he looked, and there were a lot of concerns that he'd started sipping, with even petitions being made to get him to stop. And again, these concerns were proved true when Skies addressed this in an interview, saying that lean helps his anxiety and paranoia. And clearly it became obvious that all this drug use is affecting him negatively, sapped out all the hunger he once had, and the drugs really have him defeated. And Skies' quite obviously poor mental health has had a massive negative impact on his career, tarnishing his relationship with his fans, reducing his social media presence, and causing drug use, which has clearly worsened all his issues. But there are still two significant reasons for Skies' downfall. The main one being Skies' kid. I know that sounds bad, but hear me out. Time Skies had his kid is kind of what coincides when his downfall began. It's obvious he's prioritizing his kid, and that's the main reason for his lack of music. He dropped 3 times in 2019 after he became a dad, with 2 being the same week, presumably immediately after his kid was born, maybe like as a going away present, because he was about to focus on his kid. The third being in September, but 2020 he only dropped 3 times, 2021 he dropped an album, and 2022 he dropped twice. And I get prioritizing a kid, I really do, when I respect it, but honestly I think that this at the same time, this is probably the smallest reason for Skies' downfall. The biggest reason is his music just went to fucking shit, right? Genuinely, Skies was probably one of my favorite artists at one point in time, but after 2018 his music just progressively became worse and worse. Shelby was painfully average, a lot of forgettable tracks, but some bangers, you know? And Magic and Going Off was some of the last real good songs he dropped. And after that, it was a downward spiral, man. He went from making these melodic, catchy bangers like Listo Nowadays to some of the worst songs I've heard in my entire fucking life. Because what the fuck even is okay? And I really do think this severe drop in quality of music is what killed his career. Yeah, you can blame mental health issues, you can blame the lack of frequent drops, you can blame the lack of social media, you can blame him destroying the relationship with his fans, and unlike most fall-offs, there are a lot of reasons you can blame for Skies' downfall, because they all play a hand. But I truly do think if Skies was dropping the same quality of music as he was in 2018, with all of the factors considered, he could still be on top. But the harsh reality is, Skies went from making some of the best music I've heard to some of the most awful and forgettable.